I never expected to be robbed of my dream job. But my silent revenge would shock them all. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It started with the shrill ring of my phone, jarring me from a blissful sleep. The words from my boss twisted my stomach. "We're going another direction," he said. The silence that followed was deafening. Heart pounding, I stared at the wall, my dreams crashing like glass fragments at my feet. I didn't just lose a job. I lost my identity. The work I poured my heart into, the late nights and early mornings gone. My hands trembled, tears streaming down my face. Everything I strived for slipped through my fingers like sand. I had invested everything. My hope, my future, my passion. How could they just take it away? My family tried to console me. My mom's soft touch calmed my racing heart, but her eyes reflected my despair. "You'll find something better," she whispered, though I could hear the doubt hidden in her voice. My friends rallied around, sharing their own tales of defeat. Their stories of rising from ashes gave me sparks of hope amidst the shadows. But nothing could fill the void. Weeks passed, and the stench of betrayal lingered like a cloud. I haunted the coffee shops where I used to work, tracing my old steps, searching for answers. People murmured, cast glances pitying me, their faces blurring into one vast sea of judgment. Each smile felt like a knife twisting deeper, reminding me of the dreams stolen. In the still of the night, I plotted my silent revenge. A quiet storm brewed within me. I imagined their faces when they realized what they'd done, the shock, the disbelief. The idea electrified me. In my heart, I knew I had the power to rise. They thought they could erase me, but I was just getting started. With each passing day, my resolve hardened. Secrets unfolded around me like petals, details I'd overlooked before, but now they emerged, glistening with possibility. What if I could turn their betrayal back on them? What if I could make them feel the weight of their own actions? I grinned at the thought, feeling my spirit ignite with a flicker of wicked delight. They had underestimated me, the quiet girl with big dreams. As I stared out into the dark abyss of night, I felt that familiar pulse of hope flicker deep inside. I wasn't broken. I was just preparing for the ultimate comeback. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The days turned into weeks, and as I walked through the cluttered streets of the city, my pulse quickened. Every corner turn brought me face to face with ghosts of my past. The cafe where I had brainstormed campaign ideas, the park bench where I'd rejoiced at my first job offer, the towering building that now loomed above me like a dark nemesis. I swallowed hard, the weight of it all pressing on my chest. Amidst the chaos, I leaned on my old sketchbook, the one I had opened during moments of inspiration. I began each entry with a glimmer of hope, scribbling down dreams that felt just out of reach. I wrote about new job applications, about the desire to create again, to be more than just someone's memory. Still, the flicker of doubt clawed at the back of my mind like an unwelcomed intruder. One evening, while sipping lukewarm coffee at an old haunt, I overheard a conversation that made my heart race. Two former colleagues discussing a job opening at a startup. It was a risk, sure, but they spoke of it with such passion, the kind that reminded me of what I once felt. A laugh escaped me, a small burst of warmth amidst the chill that wrapped around me. "Why don't you apply?" A voice broke through my trance. Startled, I turned to see a woman in her 30s sitting across from me. Her smile was genuine, and there was a softness in her eyes that invited trust. "You're an incredibly talented thinker," she said, her enthusiasm infectious. "You just need somewhere to showcase that creativity." "Thank you, but I'm not sure if I have it in me anymore," I admitted, looking down at my coffee, avoiding her gaze. "Trust me," she smiled encouragingly. "We have all our lows. But it's how we pick ourselves up that truly matters. I've been there, you know? I lost everything once, my job, my home. Everything. But I found a way back." Her words ignited a tiny spark. Maybe I wasn't as far gone as I feared. After sharing more, we exchanged numbers, promising to keep in touch. There was a kindness in her that I desperately needed. Days later, sitting in my room amidst a whirlwind of application forms and cover letters, I found solace in a shared message from my new friend Mia. She encouraged me to push past the fear that every no only brought me closer to a right opportunity. Her unwavering faith in my potential became a soft cushion against my insecurities. Yet, beneath the surface of these new glimmers of hope, the storm inside me grew fiercer. I had plans brewing in the shadows, fueled by a vision of revenge that lurked like a predator in waiting. I couldn't let go of what had been taken from me. It festered within, driving my desires. One fateful evening, I stumbled upon a blog post unveiling a startling connection between my former boss and a notorious figure in the industry. It painted a picture of greed and deception that exposed the very foundation of my betrayal. My heart raced. This wasn't just about me anymore. As the realization settled, both fear and excitement intermingled within me. What would happen if I brought this truth to light? As I drifted off to sleep that night, overwhelmed by the duality of my intentions, I felt a sudden urgency. I had a choice to make: to chase the hollow exhilaration of revenge or to forge my own path anew. The next morning I received a text from Mia. "Hey, I have a lead on that startup. Let us meet up later. It could be the break you need." The tremor of hope shot through me at the prospect of a fresh start. Yet the shadow of my plan loomed large. After a day of anticipation turned into a night of restless energy, I found myself pacing my apartment, torn between my hunger for vengeance and the possibility of rebirth. I could almost hear their laughter, the voices of those who once dismissed my efforts. The fear of being overlooked again mixed with the desire to prove them wrong, threatening to consume me whole. As I stood staring out my window at the twinkling city lights, I finally whispered, "This is my moment." A flicker of resolve surged within, but beneath it all, a dark allure whispered promises of power in revenge. How could I hold both dreams of a new beginning and the shadow of retribution in my heart? Just as the clock struck midnight, breaking into a new day, a message popped up on my screen, an unexpected notification from an anonymous email. My breath hitched as I recognized the subject line. "I know what they did to you." My heart raced, uncertainty flooding my veins, as anxiety clashed with a sudden spark of hope. Who could possibly know of my pain? Would they offer me a lifeline or be a harbinger of more chaos unfolding? My hand trembled as I opened it, the weight of my heart growing heavier with every word that unfolded. Unsure of the path ahead, I braced myself for the revelations that were about to intertwine with my journey, leaving me standing at the precipice, teetering dangerously between hope and revenge. The sun broke through the haze of an early morning, casting rays across my room, but even the brightness felt like a taunt. I sat at my small desk, heart racing, staring at my computer screen as the email glowed ominously. The sender was anonymous, yet the words held a familiarity that sent shivers down my spine. "I know what they did to you." As I read on, the message unraveled like a thread pulling at the fabric of my life, revealing pieces I had buried deep. It outlined a corruption within the very company I once aspired to be part of, alleging collusion between my former boss and competitors. It didn't just speak of betrayal, it breathed life into my old dreams, turning them into something tangible. My former colleagues weren't just passive players in my downfall, they were part of a larger scheme, complicity woven into every interaction, every dismissal. Yet, mingled with the bitter taste of this knowledge was a creeping dread. If this anonymous figure knew so much, might they also be privy to my own plans? Would the information truly empower me, or would it be the catalyst for my undoing? The thought clawed at my insides as I imagined revealing this secret only to find myself exposed in the process. "Mia," I whispered, suddenly desperate for her wisdom. The brief buoyancy of hope I had felt receded like tides retreating from the shore. I typed quickly, fingers hovering over the send button as the weight of my uncertainty resumed its grip. I had confided little to her of my darker thoughts, fearing that she would see a monster beneath my fragile exterior. After finally pushing the message into the ether, I tried to focus. Meeting Mia felt vital now more than ever. She represented the light I could choose to embrace, the possibility of rekindling my creativity and passion, a stark contrast to the vengeful fire igniting within. Minutes ticked by like hours until my phone buzzed, jolting me from my thoughts. Mia's reply was immediate. "Can't wait. Let's South meet at the park around 2? Bring your ideas, let us make this happen." I grinned despite the heavy weight on my heart. I needed this meeting to anchor me, to remind me of my potential separate from the darkness that threatened to consume me. I grabbed my sketchbook from the shelf, flipping through pages filled with sketches and half-formed dreams, wondering which of these visions I could breathe life into again. But as the time approached, doubt reared its head. What did I truly want? Healing or revenge? The line felt smudged, and the intoxicating idea of exposing the deceit shadowed every hopeful thought. The park bustled with life. Children laughed, couples strolled, and the air was alive with possibilities, everything I craved but struggled to grasp. I spotted Mia on a bench, her radiant smile drawing me in like a moth to flame. She waved excitedly, pulling me from the abyss of internal conflict. "Hey, you look like you've been thinking hard," she said, her eyes sparkling. "What's on your mind?" Caught in her warmth, I hesitated. The words rushed forth before I could filter them. "I received an email about my old job. Someone knows about the corruption there, the betrayal." Mia's expression turned serious, the ambition in her eyes dimming briefly. "That sounds dangerous. Are you okay with this information?" "I don't know yet. Part of me wants to dig deeper to get answers, but there's another part that screams for a fresh start," I confessed, my voice trembling. "What if chasing this leads to more pain? Decisions like this can feel heavy, but remember, the weight of the past doesn't have to dictate your future," she replied gently. Her constant encouragement pulled at my insides. While it felt comforting, it only underscored my internal conflict, the choice between pursuing justice and guarding my own heart. I was plagued by the intoxicating allure of revenge, the temptation to unearth secrets that had kept me shackled for so long. "Can I show you something?" I asked, curious about the direction of my thoughts. I pulled out my sketchbook, flipping it open to a blank page, denying the idea of vengeance for a moment as I sketched. The artwork transformed into hope, old dreams reborn through my hands. With each stroke, I remembered who I wanted to be. But just as the image took shape, my phone buzzed again, breaking my focus, a message notification with that same ominous sender again. "You're not the only one who knows. Be careful. They are watching." My heart sank as I read the line, darkness flooding back, eclipsing the light I had fought to welcome. Suddenly, the air felt thin, and the vibrant park turned into a cage. I wasn't just fighting for a job. I was now entangled in a web of vulnerability, potential danger, and questions with no clear answers. "Everything okay?" Mia's voice broke through the chaos, her brow furrowed with concern. I attempted a smile, masking the emotional storm brewing within me. "Just processing." But my words felt hollow as I felt the invisible threads of my fate tightening, drawing me ever closer to an inevitable confrontation. How could I navigate the precipice of hope and the pull of darkness? Now it was clearer than ever. I stood at a crossroads where the ghosts of my past threatened to collide with the desires of my future. With uncertainty weighing heavily on me and the threats of revenge just out of reach, I didn't just have a decision to make. I was caught in a rising tide, one that threatened to drown me if I didn't tread carefully. The sun began its descent, casting a warm golden hue over the park, but the beauty of it felt alien to me now. The message from the anonymous sender echoed in my mind, taunting me like a haunting refrain. They were watching. My breath caught in my throat as the realization of being pursued sunk in deeper. I glanced around, half expecting shadows to leap out from behind the trees, to see familiar faces wearing masks of smiles that concealed their true intentions. Mia's unwavering presence had a way of easing my turmoil, and yet beneath her encouraging glances, I sensed a flicker of confusion. It intensified my internal struggle. Should I share my fears about the dark revelations pressing in on me? Or was it kinder to shield her from this uninvited chaos? The battle raged within me, churning like a stormy sea. "Mia, can I be honest with you?" The words slipped out before I could orchestrate my thoughts. The sketchbook lay open between us like a bridge and a barrier simultaneously, proof of my creative spirit, and the worries cloaked behind it. "Of course," she replied, tilting her head, her expression an open invitation to share. "I feel like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff," I admitted. The confession felt heavy in my throat. Part of me wants to dive into this whole mess with the corporate scandal. There's something thrilling about seeking justice, but every instinct tells me it could hurt me even more. Her brow furrowed, the empathy in her eyes clear. "It sounds like you're torn. The past has held you hostage for so long, but you want to reclaim your life. What's the worst that could happen if you don't pursue it? The weight of those words settled like stones within my chest. Mia was right. It was the past that held me captive. Yet the desire for justice came with its own perilous risks. What if it leads to retaliation? What if they come after me? I don't just want to protect myself. I want to protect you too. Her gaze sharpened and she reached out, placing her hand over mine, a gesture so simple yet full of depth. I appreciate you wanting to protect me. But you can't let fear dictate your choices, Mia. Those words were like a lifeline. Something stirred within me, rekindling a spark I thought had long gone out. As we continued to talk, sharing dreams and aspirations of what could lay ahead, my mind momentarily danced around the chaos enveloping me, blurring the edges of fear. Mia's laughter became the backdrop to my internal conflict, each sound like a buoy pushing me toward the shore. But the warmth of her presence was shattered when my phone buzzed again. The familiar dread gripped my soul as I hesitated, the screen glowing ominously. I should ignore it, yet the thought was suffocating. Who is it? Mia asked. Concern creasing her brow, I swallowed hard, feeling my resolve crumble under the weight of apprehension. It's from the same person. My voice dropped to a whisper. My fingers shook as I opened the message, words spilling into the air like an ominous warning. I've seen you with her. Trust no one. A shiver snaked down my spine, and I could see the alarm flashing in Mia's eyes. The park faded into a blur as a surreal fear wrapped around us, making everything look sinister. My best friend, my anchor, was now swept into my chaos, drawn into a dark world I never wanted her to inhabit. Mia, we need to get out of here, I said, urgency lining my words. The surroundings distorted, as though each tree and every passerby were potential threats hiding in plain sight. Okay, just breathe. We can talk this over coffee, or she started, but I interrupted her. No. Not coffee, not anywhere public. I can't risk it. As we walked briskly, the sounds of laughter faded away, replaced by a dreadful silence draping over us, solidifying my fears. I glanced over my shoulder frequently, convinced that someone was lurking, waiting for the right moment to pounce. Can I meet you somewhere safe? I suggested, my mind racing. My apartment. It's in a secluded area, but I faltered to think of the risks. Okay, Mia nodded, her voice unwavering. Let us go there. Together. It was as if the moment we made that decision, we stepped across into a shadowed realm. The path home twisted in unexpected ways, and with every turn, my anxiety sharpened, feeling heavier with each passing second. My breath quickened faster than my thoughts could follow. I glanced at Mia by my side, her unwavering trust clashing with my desire to shield her. Do you think I forced the words out, but fear engulfed me, choking my voice. After a moment's hesitation, I continued, do you think they could be watching us? Mia's eyes sharpened. Listen to me. We will figure this out together. Just because of that message doesn't mean we're in immediate danger. You have to believe that. And somewhere in the depths of her conviction, I found a flicker of belief too. But as we rounded the last street corner leading to my building, a figure loomed just beyond the entrance. His face obscured but his presence menacing. My heart sank. Stay close, I urged, instinctively grasping her hand tighter, like a tether anchoring me to reality. Just as we hurried toward the door, a voice called out, laced with the same chilling familiarity as the emails, you were warned to watch your back. Time froze and my heart dropped. Everything I fought to protect was now hanging in the balance, each choice feeling weightier than the last. The choice between the shadows and the light had come to a head, and I stood teetering between the two, a prisoner of my own haunting past and the promise of a new dawn. The door to my apartment felt like an impenetrable barrier as I stood trembling before it, the echo of that voice still ringing in my ears. My mind raced, grappling with the reality that the web I had long avoided was finally ensnaring me. I turned to Mia, who still held my hand with a grip that felt both reassuring and grounding. What do we do? I panted, the weight of fear making my heart thud in a panicked rhythm. Mia surveyed our surroundings, her eyes sharp and alert. We should go inside first. It's safer behind closed doors. Then we can figure out our next move. In that moment I realized how fragile everything felt. With a trembling hand, I fumbled for my keys, the metal cold and foreign against my heat-radiating palm. I pushed the door open, the familiar scent of old paint and neglected corners enveloping us as we stepped inside. Once the door clicked shut, the silence of my apartment contrasted sharply with the chaos of my mind. "Do you want to call the police?" Mia asked, her voice steady despite the tremor I could sense beneath it. I shook my head vigorously. "No, not yet. I can't involve them until I know what we're dealing with. If they're just trying to intimidate me," I trailed off, the implications weighing heavily like a lead shroud. Mia remained resolute. "Then what are you thinking? We can start by figuring out who sent those messages. We can work together. I want to help you." Her words lingered, pulling me closer to a decision. "I want you to be safe." The admission left my lips in a whisper, layered with all the fear I had held inside until now. "Then let us protect each other together," Mia replied, stepping closer. The sincerity in her eyes chased away some of the shadows clinging to my heart. "Okay, but we need to stay sharp. I don't want to miss anything." As we settled onto my well-worn sofa, the faded cushions cradling us, I fished my laptop from the coffee table. The glow of the screen illuminated my face, casting fleeting shadows in the corners of the room. I frantically typed out a list of every message I had received, hoping to recognize a pattern or a clue. Mia watched intently, her presence both calming and unsettling. I couldn't help but steal glances at her, searching for reassurance, though I also feared that the more she knew, the more danger I might put her in. A swell of guilt twisted within me, a longing to shield her, to freeze time and return to the days before all of this chaos began. "Look, you have relationships and ties at your workplace that maybe we're overlooking," Mia suggested, breaking the heavy silence. "Do you think any of them could be behind the messages? Someone might have had a grudge against you." My heart sank at the thought. The very people I had trusted could betray me. My mind churned with memories of whispered conversations and veiled glances. I don't know, everyone has seemed supportive since the scandal broke. But then again, I never tapped into the undercurrents of my colleagues. They may have opinions I'm unaware of. Mia leaned closer, her brow furrowed in contemplation. "Why don't we reach out to a few select people? Gauge where they stand, ask some questions without raising alarms." "Maybe," I agreed hesitantly. "But I need to tread carefully. This could unravel everything." A moment of uncertain stillness gripped us, the reality of our internal investigation rushing through my mind. If they find out I'm looking into it, all hell could break loose. I took a deep breath, the anxiety layered over every thought, and it felt as if the walls were closing in on me. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the hall outside my apartment. My heart raced again, pumping adrenaline through my veins. What was that? Mia's eyes widened, her breath hitching as she glanced at the door. "We should hide. If whoever that is comes in," she didn't need to finish the thought. The dread spoke volumes. I grabbed her hand, guiding her behind the couch. The low sounds of voices drifted through the door, unfamiliar yet filled with intent. My heart threatened to pound out of my chest. "We can't stay here, we need another exit," I whispered, panic sharp in my voice. Suddenly, the front door swung open, revealing the looming figure from earlier. Despite my instinct to retreat deeper into hiding, curiosity compelled my gaze upward. "Looking for someone?" he drawled, a smirk curling his lips as he stepped into the dimly lit space, casually tossing a few papers onto the coffee table with a flourish. My heart sank when I recognized the paper. It was a list of names, my name sitting ominously at the top. My breath caught painfully in my throat, and then with a jarring calm the figure continued, "You'll want to take a good look at what's coming for you." Mia's grip tightened around my arm. The enormity of the moment pressed down on us. There we were, two friends caught in a web of shadows, and our only choice lay crumbling beneath the weight of our own fears. The dreams we once held now felt so fragile, teetering on the edge of oblivion. As fear coiled around me, I felt more than just apprehension. I sensed the stirring of something darker, vengeance looming, and I wasn't sure if it was meant for them or myself. The silence that followed his taunt felt surreal, as though time hitched a ride on a breathless wind before settling into a suffocating pocket of tension. My gaze remained locked on the figure, fear and recognition wrestling within me. I knew I had to act, but the instinct to run clashed violently with the need to confront this threat. Mia's hand remained tightly clasped around my arm, her warmth oddly grounding against the chill of impending chaos. "We can't stay here," she whispered, urgency coating her voice. But as I looked at the figure, something within me ignited, a flicker of determination sparked by the injustice of it all. What do you want? I managed to ask, voice steady despite the quaking in my heart. His smirk widened, the confidence of someone who had taken their power for granted. Only to help you open your eyes. You've been playing this game blind, haven't you? His gaze flitted between us, and I felt the air grow thick with significance. Each word dripping with a sinister clarity that hung heavy in the room. My mind raced through a parade of questions. Why are you doing this? Who sent you? I glanced at the papers he had dropped, their ominous presence suffusing my awareness with dread. He tilted his head, amusement dancing behind his predatory demeanor. You really think this is about me? This is just the beginning, darling. His eyes glistened with satisfaction. As if each revelation was a gift he was eager to unwrap. You're at the center of a storm you didn't even see coming. But don't worry. I'm just here to introduce you to your new reality. Before I could respond, he pivoted. Stepping back toward the door, my instincts screamed at me to stop him before he disappeared with the secrets he carried. Wait! I shouted, desperation fueling my resolve. What do you mean? What's really going on? He paused, dim light casting an unsettling glow on his face. You're not the only one with secrets. The question is, how brave are you willing to be to uncover them? With that cryptic message hanging in the air, he slipped into the corridor, leaving only echoes of laughter lingering in his wake. Mia and I shared a glance steeped in disbelief, our hearts racing. Did he just? She started, her voice trailing off as the impact of his words began to settle in. He knows something, I replied, the gravity of the situation sharpening my focus. We have to figure out what it is. This could lead us to whoever's pulling the strings. Or it could lead us deeper into trouble, Mia warned, but even as she spoke, I could see the fire igniting in her eyes. She was just as ready to fight, with the tension still bubbling under the surface. We returned to the papers that sat disarrayed on the coffee table. My breath hitched as I scanned the list of names, each moniker a reminder of the relationships I had relied upon. I zeroed in on my own name at the top, highlighted as if it were the target in someone else's game. Who are these people? Mia asked, tracing a finger delicately over the words as if trying to pull life from their ink. I can recognize some of them, I murmured, my mind racing with the implications. There were colleagues I had trusted, acquaintances I thought had my back. But others, they're distant, people I barely know. I need to think. What if we confront someone? Mia suggested, her voice a mixture of anxiety and rebellion. We can test the waters with the ones you're close to. See how they react to the mention of your name on this list. A knot tightened in my stomach at the thought. The very people I had relied on for support could be potential traitors. But faced with the unknown, what choice did we have? Okay, I relented, my heart pounding against uncertainty. But we need to be cautious and play it safe. I can't trust anyone right now. The night stretched on, cloaked in an oppressive darkness that felt all too fitting. The specter of paranoia loomed large as we made our plans, my heart both heavy and hopeful. Perhaps there was still a way to tether the jagged edges of my life, maybe not entirely fix it, but navigate through the storm that threatened to consume me. Mia and I settled into a tense rhythm, reaching out to select individuals, measuring responses, and reading between the lines. Each encounter inched me closer to understanding the hidden webs of deceit I had previously ignored. It was terrifying and exhilarating, like standing on the precipice of a cliff, ready to dive into the unknown. After a week of strained conversations and strained smiles, we found ourselves meeting Jessica, a colleague I had always confided in. Her laughter felt like sunlight, but beneath it, I sensed a shadow. Was I being foolish to trust anyone at all? Can you think of anyone who might want to hurt me? I asked, the question tumbling awkwardly from my lips as we sat across from each other in a crowded cafe. Mia's presence beside me was both a comfort and a delicate chain binding me to reality. Jessica's expression faltered, confusion knitting her brow. Why would you ask that? It's complicated, I urged, pressed by the truth but encased in fear. She hesitated, and in that moment, a flicker of something darker flashed in her eyes. Was it suspicion or concern? I can't think of anyone specifically, but I'll keep my ears open. The conversation shifted, but I could feel Mia's tense energy beside me. As Jessica rose to leave, her phone buzzed insistently on the table. Without thinking, I reached for it, and my fingertips grazed the screen. My heart raced when I saw the message. We need to talk. Keep it quiet. It was from an unknown number. and the realization knocked the breath from my lungs. I looked up just as Jessica turned back, her face a mask of surprise. "What are you doing with my phone?" But before I could answer, the shadows of doubt that had begun to dissipate swarmed in again. What had I just uncovered about her ties to the whispers that haunted me? Had I inadvertently placed both mine and Mia's lives deeper in peril? The truth I was clinging to slipped away, and as I stared into Jessica's bewilderment, a chill coursed through me. This wasn't just a game. It was life and death. I felt it then, the undeniable pull of fate, much like the moment before a storm. A prelude to a reckoning I was still unprepared to face. The cafe's atmosphere shifted palpably, a dense shroud of confusion wrapping around me. Jessica was looking at me with eyes wide, flooded with a mix of indignation and concern. "What did you just see?" Her voice trembled slightly, the cheerful guise she had donned slipping away like a discarded mask. I stammered, the weight of the phone heavy in my hand, burdened now with the enormity of my discovery. Was I truly prepared to unfold the layers of intrigue I had stumbled into? Mia squeezed my shoulder, steadying my resolve. "You can't ignore this," she whispered, her unwavering belief in me grounding me as confrontation loomed. "You deserve to know." I took a deep breath, the caffeine in my veins a stark contrast to the tightening knot in my stomach. "Jessica, who sent that message? Why do they want to talk to you?" The urgency in my voice cut through the murmur of the cafe, drawing glances from nearby tables. My heart drummed erratically in my chest, echoing my rising panic. But instead of answering, Jessica's expression morphed, flickering between alarm and steely resolve. "You shouldn't have seen that," she warned, her tone firm. "Sometimes ignorance is bliss, you know? Don't say that." I spat back, emboldened by the uncertainty of alliances I had grasped onto. "Someone is pulling strings behind the scenes, and you might be part of it." Mia's eyes darted between us, the atmosphere thickening with unspoken words. Jessica's gaze fell to her phone, her resolve wavering as she seemed to weigh her next actions carefully. "There's nothing more I can say right now," she whispered, almost pleadingly. "You'll only put yourself in danger by digging deeper." With that, she turned abruptly, her retreat cutting through the tension like a knife. I remained frozen, the weight of betrayal mingling with overwhelming confusion. "Did you see that?" I turned to Mia, my voice shaky. "She knows something. This isn't just about me anymore." Mia nodded in understanding. "But what if revealing whatever this is could put you in even greater danger? We need to tread carefully." Her caution resonated with me, but the gnawing desire for truth was a relentless tide, urging me forward even against reason. Over the following days, an unsettling quiet descended in my life, a veil of anxiety sharp enough to cut through the routine I once took comfort in. Social outings felt strained, conversations sprinkled with silent questions. I couldn't shake the ominous feeling that shadows were watching me, waiting for the opportune moment to pounce. Mia's presence became my lifeline, her unwavering support a constant reminder that I wasn't entirely alone. As we dissected our conversations, a pattern began to emerge, a web of half-truths whispered in the quiet corners of darkness. A name surfaced repeatedly, like a ghost rising from the depths of the unknown. Marcus. He had been my mentor, an unwavering figure in my career's narrative. But lately whispers had fractured that loyalty point. One night, as rain pattered softly against the window, I found myself spiral-bound in doubt, questioning everything I thought to be true. I decided right then that confronting Marcus was not an option. I had to force the issue and unravel the depth of his involvement in this mounting deception. Striding towards Marcus's office the next morning, determination coursing through me, I fought against the intrusive fear that threatened to stall my resolve. But an undercurrent of doubt lingered. What if he was just as ensnared as I was? As I entered his office, the air felt thick with anticipation. "You wanted to see me?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady despite the tempest swirling inside me. "Ah yes. Come in. We need to discuss some of your recent projects," Marcus replied, his eyes bright and calculating. That brief exchange ignited my instincts, alert and aware. I could sense that beneath his smooth veneer lay a turbulent storm, much like my own. "I have noticed some irregularities lately," I ventured cautiously, each word judicious and measured. "There are things happening I can't ignore." "How enigmatic," he mused, leaning back in his chair. "What do you believe is happening?" His tone dripped with mock curiosity, but the glint in his eyes was sharper, and I understood the challenge embedded in his question. I want to know what you know, Marcus, I asserted, meeting his gaze with steel. There are names being tossed around, connections I cannot comprehend alone. Jessica was involved, and now it feels like everyone is hiding something from me. A flicker of surprise darted across his face, quickly masked by a practiced calm that only deepened my uncertainties. You've been talking to her, I see, he said slowly. And what conclusions have you drawn from that conversation? More than you might think, I pressed, heart racing at my audacity. Is there something you want to share with me? Are you tangled in this too? He stood, moving closer, and I could feel the sudden tension surge through the room like a live wire. Be careful how far you dig, my dear, he said, each word laced with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. Not everything is as it appears. Some bonds are far more complicated than you could imagine. Just as the ground beneath my feet shifted, his phone buzzed, vibrating insistently against the polished desk. He glanced at it, his expression unfurrowing for the briefest moment, worry darting across his features. I need to take this, he muttered, his voice low and urgent, and I watched him step outside, anxiety clawing at my mind. In that fleeting moment of solitude, I held my breath, debating whether to confront him or search for clarity in the void he left behind. Peering out from the glass panel, my heart lurched as I saw Jessica and a tall stranger standing in the corridor, their heads bent in a hurried conversation. She looked panicked, breathless, a stark contrast to her usual demeanor. What secrets were being traded out of my sight? The revelation thickened around me like murky water. I was caught in a system far larger than I ever could have anticipated. A silent scream surged within, urging me to listen and understand all at once. There would be no retreat. The shadows were coming alive with secrets that begged to be unearthed. I turned back just as Marcus returned. His demeanor shifted, the calm now concealing something darker. We need to finish this discussion another time, he said, moving closer, his gaze penetrating. But remember, be judicious in who you trust. Heart pounding. I knew then that Marcus, Jessica, and the burgeoning depth of this conflict was about to engulf me entirely. As I prepared to confront the heart of this whirlwind, a singular thought clenched in my chest. I was about to step into a storm, one I might not survive. The morning sun spilled through my window like liquid gold, but it did little to warm the chill that had settled deep within me. I stared at my reflection in the mirror. The woman looking back felt like a stranger, eyes rimmed with anxiety, and a furrowed brow weighed down by conflicting emotions. I was entangled in a web of lies, and each thread pulled tighter around my heart. The events of the day before replayed in my mind like a haunting melody. Jessica, the secrets, Marcus's veiled warnings, they all mixed together, tangled and stretching into a dark abyss. I couldn't stay idle. I needed to unravel this before the truth consumed me. As I donned my coat and stepped out into the brisk air, a plan began to form. Jessica's worried expression remained burned in my memory, and deep down, I felt a flicker of sympathy in the fear she exuded. Perhaps she was just a pawn, much like I was caught in the crossfire of something much larger. Mia joined me for lunch at a quaint deli, the smell of roasted garlic wafting in the air as we sank into a booth. I haven't seen Jessica since yesterday, she said, concern etching her delicate features. Do you think she's okay? I'm worried about her, I admitted, stirring my soup with deliberate motions. She was scared, Mia. Whatever's happening, it's affecting her. Mia leaned in, her voice a mere whisper. What if we find her? Maybe she can clear up some of the chaos, answer some of your questions directly. This stands to reason. Right? Nodding, I felt a surge of determination. You're right. We need to find her. I have to confront her to know if she's part of this too. My conviction pulsed with each heartbeat, steady like the rhythm of the city around us. After lunch, we ventured to locations where Jessica might surface. The park where we often went as kids had taken on an ethereal quality beneath the autumn leaves. Trees stood tall and proud, their branches intertwining like fingers seeking one another. We walked along the winding paths, hoping to catch a glimpse of her familiar silhouette, but the search yielded nothing. Just as despair threatened to consume me, I spotted a figure seated on a bench beneath the sprawling branches, slumped shoulders, dressed in a worn-out hoodie, unmistakably Jessica. My heart raced, relief washing over me like a tide, only to be replaced by a swell of trepidation as I approached her. Jessica, I called softly, hesitant yet hopeful. She looked up, her eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and fear. I didn't expect to see you here, she murmured, folding her hands tightly together. I didn't think you would be looking for me. I thought you'd leave it alone. Leave it alone? I echoed, incredulity tainting my voice. There's too much at stake. We need to talk. Please just tell me the truth. Her gaze flickered, darting away from mine, and in that brief moment, I understood that she was weighing the consequences of her next words delicately, like fragile glass. It's not just about you, you know? It's complicated. Dangerous, she whispered, glancing around us as if shadows were creeping closer and listening. Tell me what you mean by that, I pressed, desperate for an answer. You can trust me, Jess. Whatever it is, we can face it together. Her breath caught, and for a moment I thought she would relent, spill the treachery hidden in her heart. But then she shook her head, a single tear slipping down her cheek. I can't drag you into this. You have no idea what's at stake. With those words, my resolve clanged against a wall of uncertainty. You don't get to decide for me. Keeping this from me could be more dangerous than you realize. Please just drop it. Her voice quivered. I don't want you to be hurt. It was a plea laced with a depth of fear I hadn't anticipated. Something in her words sparked new fury within me. You're already hurt, Jess. Right now, I'm your only ally, and you're making a tremendous mistake by pushing me away. She took a deep breath, visibly fighting against her instincts. I have something to show you, but you have to promise me you'll be careful. Promise. I felt a rush of adrenaline course through me, mingled with a fresh wave of fear. Promise. Just lead the way. We walked in silence, tension thickening the air between us. Jessica led me down narrow alleys and winding streets, finally stopping in front of a dilapidated building that sagged under the weight of neglect. My heart thudded in my chest as she cast a cautious glance around. This is where it all started, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The conversations, the plans, everything threads back here. As we stepped inside, darkness enveloped us like a veil. Jessica fumbled for her phone, illuminating the damp brick walls, revealing faded graffiti and remnants of a past long forgotten. Every step echoed in the silence, magnifying the creeping dread in my gut. There are hidden rooms beneath this building, she murmured, her voice trembling. Places where they've been plotting. Suddenly, we heard footsteps echoing behind us, a rhythm of urgency that sent a chill down my spine. We need to go now. I gripped her wrist, ready to pull her back toward the exit when we both froze. An ominous figure emerged from the shadows, silhouetted against the dim light from Jessica's phone. I've been waiting for you, Jessica, he said, voice smooth like ice. I felt her body tense beside me. You shouldn't have come here, she whispered, panic lacing her tone. What are you hiding? I demanded, standing between Jessica and the encroaching figure, my heart pounding like a distant drum, determined to protect her at all costs. Nothing that concerns you yet, he replied, an unsettling smile curling on his lips as he leaned casually against the wall, focusing his attention on me. But I assure you, the truth has a way of being revealed. The room felt like it was closing in, the walls shifting, suffocating. I turned to Jessica, confusion written across my face. What does he mean? Before she could reply, his voice rose to a chilling cadence. Welcome to your destiny. I hope you're ready. With that, an icy sensation washed over me and dread took hold. In that single moment, a realization crashed down on me. This was far from over. This revelation, as slight as it was, hinted at a greater storm, one that would either consume us or ignite our fight for truth. And in that suffocating darkness, hope glimmered like a distant star just outside our grasp. Would we reach it before it vanished completely? The air felt electric, charged with tension that clung to my skin like a shroud. I could sense the weight of Jessica's fear press against the walls around us. And as the stranger's chilling words echoed in my ears, I fought the urge to retreat. My instincts screamed to run, to escape this nightmare. But I stayed rooted in place, unwilling to abandon Jessica. Who are you? I demanded, my voice steadier than I felt. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a sharp jawline and cold, calculating eyes that held deep secrets I was desperate to uncover. Let's just say I have ties to the organization you both seem to be entangled in. I know Jessica, he said, a mocking lilt to his voice. She talks too much for her own good. It's rather unfortunate, really. Jessica began to tremble beside me, and I could feel her fear weave into my own anxiety. What do you want? I shot back, attempting to mask my fear with defiance. Oh, it's not what I want that matters, he smiled, his gaze lingering on Jessica. It's the choices you will soon have to make. The truth can be liberating, but it can also be a burden. I sensed Jessica might crumble under the pressure of his words. Stop, I shouted, moving closer to her, using my body as a shield. You can't play with her mind like this. Just leave her alone. Little heroes like you often underestimate the power of information. He leaned casually against the wall, as if he were sharing tea rather than threats. Jessica has secrets that could turn the tide for both of you if only she would share them. Jessica swallowed hard, her eyes darting between us, searching for a lifeline in the swirling chaos. I can't, she rasped, the tremor in her voice striking me as sorrowful. It's too dangerous. You don't understand what they're capable of. I felt the weight of her words settle heavily in the pit of my stomach. Then help me understand, I pleaded, desperation dripping from my tone. I don't want you to carry this alone. Your desire to help could be your undoing, the man interjected. Know that you are playing a dangerous game, one that may cost you everything. Before I could respond, Jessica suddenly took a step forward, breaking the fragile bubble of protection we had constructed. Just tell me what you want, she shouted, her voice cracking. What will it take to keep us safe? A glimmer of amusement flickered across his face. You don't get it, do you? It's not about safety. It's about trust. The kind you forge in the fires of adversity. But right now you're both stumbling in the dark. Jessica's face paled, and it felt as if the floor had dropped out from under me. Did you think you could confront this on your own? There's far more at stake than either of you realize. I could feel the panic rising within me, a tidal wave against the crumbling walls of my confidence. You can't keep hinting at things and not tell us. Just say it, I urged, my voice breaking as raw emotion bubbled to the surface. You will find out soon enough, he replied, taking a step back, shadows swallowing him whole as if he had never existed in the first place. Just remember, truth is often a cruel mistress. The darkness around me felt heavy, closing in like a vice as I turned to Jessica. She looked lost, her expression a blend of anguish and fear that made my heart ache. We can figure this out, I said, grasping her hands tightly. We'll face whatever comes together. But there was a flicker in her eyes I couldn't quite place, a hesitation that made me wonder just how deep this rabbit hole went. Can you promise me that? She whispered, her voice barely above a breath. That you'll stay? No matter what? I promise, I replied, though doubt gnawed at me. As much as I wanted to believe my words, the truth was a malignant force threatening to unravel everything I held dear. Just then, a sound echoed through the somber building, a muffled thud followed by terse voices drifting in from outside. Jessica's eyes widened, panic overtaking her. We have to leave. They're coming. My heart plummeted. The weight of uncertainty morphed into urgency as I pulled her toward the back exit, but as we hurried forward, another realization struck me with blinding clarity. Everything we thought we understood was about to shatter. The door swung open, light flooding the dim interior, and shadows cascaded in as we stepped outside. But the sunlight felt like a cruel lamp illuminating the depths of our despair. The figure materialized again, but this time he was not alone. A group of solemnly clad individuals flanked him, their intentions opaque yet intimidating. He smiled like a predator cornering its prey, and in that instance it dawned upon me we were trapped. Welcome back, ladies, he drawled, his voice laced with sinister delight. Shall we finally get to the truth? Time seemed to freeze, and as fear gnawed at my insides, one thought surged forward with crushing clarity. Whatever was ahead would rip through the lies protecting us and expose our most vulnerable selves, but perhaps, within that gaping chasm of uncertainty, lay the key to overcoming the very nightmare we were thrust into. My heart thundered in my chest as I stared into the faces of our captors, the sunlight contrasting sharply with the shadows of uncertainty and dread. The figure's smug grin felt like a knife twisting deeper, an unmistakable marker of the turmoil we were about to face. I felt Jessica's fingers tremble in my grip, her fear radiating off her in waves. It was impossible to ignore that we were standing on the precipice of something far larger than our individual struggles. This was a reckoning. Let us not prolong this little charade, the man said, his voice ice cold. You both have questions. I have answers if you're brave enough to face them. I took a deep breath, drawing on whatever courage still resided within me. This was no longer just a confrontation. It was a chance to reclaim our narratives, to shatter the shell of doubt that had encased us for too long. That small flicker of defiance ignited in my heart, whispering promises of power in unearthing the truth. "Tell us what you want from us," I declared, my voice steadier than I ever thought it could be. "We'd rather confront whatever this is than cower in fear." He crossed his arms, taking a step forward as if testing my resolve. "Ah, bravery. Interesting concept. But bravery alone won't save you." Jessica squeezed my hand tighter, and I turned to her, sharing a silent understanding the need for transparency and honesty, now more than ever. "We're tired of the games," she said, her voice finally rising with courage. "We want to know what's going on and who's really behind all of this." The figure regarded her with renewed interest. "You think you can handle the truth? You've both been dancing around it rather impressively. But the world you're in is fragile, and it could shatter at any moment. You think betrayal is one-sided?" He stepped back as he spoke, the weight of his words wrapping around us like a vice. "Enough with the theatrics." I shot back frustrated. "Just spit it out. We've already seen too much for you to hold back." "Very well," he smiled, leaning against a weathered street lamp, the expressions of his followers shifting to something akin to amusement. "You deserve to know what you've stumbled into." The edges of his mouth curled as he continued. "It all ties back to a scheme. A network bigger than either of you can imagine. And you two have unwittingly become players on a chessboard where all bets are off." As he spoke, something inside me snapped. All the fears and doubts I carried from my past of betrayal surged forward. "You think I'm afraid of a chess game?" I hissed. "This isn't a game to us. It's our lives, our futures." His gaze darkened slightly, and for a fleeting moment, I sensed the shift. "Fine. Then let us discuss the stakes," he purred, sliding an envelope from his pocket. He tossed it at our feet. "In there is everything: the players, the stakes, the consequences. You're curious, I can see it. But be mindful of how you tread. Not everyone is the ally you assume they are." Silence enveloped us, thick with the weight of his revelation. I leaned down, grabbed the envelope, and opened it slowly, my heart hitching with trepidation. Inside were names, hidden agendas, and connections that spiraled into a dark abyss of corporate greed and betrayal. I felt the chill run down my spine. "Why are you showing this to us?" Jessica asked, her voice barely above a whisper, disbelief etched across her features. "Because I've made my own choices in this wicked game, and it seems a few pawns like you might be of use. I'm tired of this insincere charade, and I do believe you deserve a chance at what's rightfully yours," he replied with a glimmer of something resembling sincerity. "Besides, you seek revenge for something you don't fully understand." Revenge. The word echoed through me, reminding me of the dark plans I once harbored. Everything I thought I would do to regain control seemed insignificant now, dwarfed by the revelation of the larger scheme, of something that divided us rather than united us. As I shuffled through the papers, my heart sank further. "This isn't just about your job, is it?" I said, staring up at him. "This runs deeper. Families are involved. Lives hang in the balance." He nodded slowly, a strange intensity glimmering in his gaze. "Exactly. And that's where you come in. You can either continue playing the victim or rise to prove you're more than that. The choice is yours." With each revelation, I felt an ember of empowerment ignite in my heart. The realization began to wash over me. Perhaps this was not merely about revenge. Maybe it was about healing, about reclaiming my narrative not through vengeance, but by standing tall and rising above those who tried to hold me down. "We won't let ourselves be pawns in someone else's game," I declared, meeting his gaze with fierce determination. "We'll stand against the corruption and expose it for what it is. Not for revenge but for justice." Generous laughter erupted from the shadows, and the man tilted his head as if genuinely intrigued. "You're braver than I anticipated. But can you truly trust each other?" Jessica's eyes darted to me and then back at him, as if a new understanding began to dawn. "You're mistaken," she replied, newfound strength anchoring her voice. "We trust each other more now than ever. No more secrets." "Fascinating," he remarked, stepping back to allow us both a glimpse of the future stretched ahead of us, fraught with uncertainty but alive with possibility. Stepping up, are you? Then do what you must. Let this be your chance to expose the truth and unearth your own potential. As our eyes locked, a silent accord was established, a promise of loyalty to each other forged amidst chaos. I felt stronger, empowered not by revenge but by purpose. Jessica took a small, decisive step toward the unknown, and for the first time, I could see the fire in her eyes echoed in mine. The weight of our past began to release its hold, and though shadows lurked around every corner, we emerged from the darkness into the light, ready to fight for everything we had lost, not just for ourselves, but for every soul ensnared by the same betrayals that sought to consume us. Let us move, I said, determination spanning the distance between us. Together, we would weave our future, chasing truth over vengeance as the greater enemy set its sights on us. And as I glanced back at the figure who once held dominion over our fates, something surreal broke free within me, a quiet conviction. We were no longer defined by our fears or shaped by betrayal. We were becoming the architects of our own destiny. Jessica and I stepped forward, toward the unknown and whatever truth awaited us inside that envelope. I felt a wave of anticipation as I realized the ultimate truth. Together we could face anything and no more silencing the past. This was our awakening. And as we moved into the world without fear, the last hushed realization swept over me. Sometimes all it takes to reclaim yourself is to forge bonds strengthened by truth, and in that, find the courage to rise. And in that moment, for all those who had doubted us, I felt prepared to shout my triumph into the void, ready to transform any darkness into light, because I knew now, nothing would ever hold me back again. And the world was ours to reclaim, one truth at a time.